So if I could take a moment to offer a more recent example of collaboration, which I and my team had a small part to play in, and what was one that we learned a great deal from. It was the effort among a group of companies working in the oil sands operations in northern Alberta, where a couple of mid-level executives, those creative, pathfinding, courageous people who are necessary in the organization to get anything new tried, encouraged their CEOs to provide some leadership for exploring a serious collaborative effort among a select number of oil companies. This small group of leaders had a sense that not only was it important for the planet, for the people of northern Alberta, and for our ongoing success of the oil sands to have some collaboration, they had an obligation to do everything they could to do a more responsible approach for exploiting that resource, or they felt the society would remove their right to operate. And they felt that personally and seriously, and so said, we need to put together a collaborative effort. They eventually attracted 3 other CEOs, and 5 companies made a commitment to address what we call a triple bottom line approach to all their operations. In other words, they would try to balance that they produce not only positive economic inputs, but positive social outputs and environmental outcomes as well. So they started putting teams together to collaborate, and found very quickly that you don't just tell people to collaborate and expect it to happen. That as these teams met, somebody would say, oh, I hear your company's got some really breakthrough technology in the tailings ponds areas. Tell us about it. Oh, I can't do that. That's our intellectual property. I can't share that with you. Well, I thought this was a collaborative group. Well, yeah, but I can't share that with you. So 2 of the presidents called kind of stop, as I understand to it, and by chance my path had crossed with one of those presidents, and to make a long story short, when they found that we had a process that actually was committed to a disciplined way of getting diverse people to both learn how to collaborate in order to unleash innovations, they said, well, why don't we use the process to help approximately 50 people from each of these 5 companies learn how to collaborate. And so some of my team went to work in running sessions with these over 200 people. And out of those conversations about what they were trying to do and why, emerged a charter called the Owsley Charter, which spelled out what the companies were committing to do in order to apply this triple bottom line, and the extent to which they were committing to collaborate and what that meant. The presidents then had a public signing of that charter, and they invited senior people from government to come and see the signing and co-sign it to hold them accountable. For the next 5 years, those 5 companies collaborated in the most amazing manner. I went back and forth across the country saying, this is the singularly most distinctive example of true collaboration to make a significant difference in performance that I've seen in any sector in Canada. The amazing thing to outsiders who only slowly began to realize what was happening here was that there were no legal documents holding this collaboration together. That the only thing that was driving these commitments were those signatures of 5 presidents saying, we publicly commit to work together. And if you went to look at some of their projects, and they had a number of breakthrough projects, you would not be able to tell who was from one company or the other. They really began to function as collaborative teams. And it was, to me, one of the amazing success stories of the last decade. It had its constraints in the sense that it was functioning under a period of significant attack around the world on the whole sector. And it had decided, I think with good logic, that its job was not to try to tell a different story or get involved in a public acknowledgement of the good they were doing. These 5 companies were going to have a laser-like focus on improving performance and let others tell the story. It also led to inspiring or embarrassing, or a combination of both, all the other companies to start to collaborate, at least around the environmental area. So we have an amazing new alliance called COSIA, in which all the companies are now sharing their technologies for environmental improvements. But OSLI was an amazingly quiet, flexible, significant collaboration that actually got launched by the leadership of, I would say, about 4 people, ended up engaging 5 companies and demonstrating that the right kind of courageous leadership actually can make quite a significant difference quite quickly. But there is a scarcity of the kind of leadership that really can undertake the risk-taking involved in that kind of collaboration.